I've never seen anything quite like the reaction to Abby Anderson. 5 years after The Last of Us Part 2 came out, people are still arguing about her in YouTube comments. Some players absolutely love her, others can't stand the mention of her name. There's really no in-between with this character. I've been fixated on this for months now, diving into comment sections, watching streamers lose their minds, and trying to figure out what the hell Naughty Dog was thinking. Because this whole mess says something pretty uncomfortable about how we connect with stories, and why some of us really don't want to be challenged when we're trying to have fun. Look, I get why people hate her. She beats Joel Miller to death with a golf club while Ellie screams her lungs out in the background. It's brutal, visceral, and personal. If you spent 20+ hours in the first game watching Joel transform from a broken smuggler into this protective father figure, that scene hits like a truck to the face. But that's not even the worst part. The game has the absolute audacity to make you play as her for half the story. Imagine if Breaking Bad killed Walter White in episode 2, then spent the rest of the season following the guy who shot him, expecting you to care about his mortgage payments. That's essentially what happened here, and it pissed people off in ways I've never seen before. The timing is deliberately cruel. You spend 3 days hunting Abby through Seattle, getting more invested in Ellie's revenge mission with every encounter. Your adrenaline is pumping, you want blood, you're ready for that satisfying moment of payback. Then the game yanks the rug out from under you. Actually, it says, let's spend the next 10 hours learning why Abby was totally justified in caving Joel's skull in. I watched PewDiePie hit this transition and just deflate completely. The chat went from hyped to confused to genuinely angry within minutes. You could feel the energy die through the screen. Then there's the whole muscle controversy, which honestly tells you everything you need to know about certain corners of the gaming community. People spent more time arguing about whether a woman could realistically have those biceps in the apocalypse than they did discussing actual character development. Wild. And then there's the Owen thing. Jesus Christ, that sex scene broke people's brains. Here's this character you already hate, hooking up with a guy whose pregnant girlfriend is literally in the same story. Mel's walking around with Owen's baby while Abby's sleeping with him. People were already pissed about Joel, and now they're watching what feels like a homewrecker having her moment. But what really sticks in people's throats is that Abby essentially gets away with murder. She kills Joel, her revenge quest destroys her friends, she ruins Ellie's entire life, and then she sails off into the sunset with Lev. Meanwhile, Ellie loses her family, her fingers, and her connection to Joel's memory through music. Where's the justice? Where's the consequence? It feels fundamentally unfair. On the flip side, Abby's defenders are absolutely ride or die for this character, and their passion is just as intense. They see something most of her haters miss: genuine character growth that actually costs something. These fans focus heavily on her relationship with Lev. This woman spent 4 years turning her body into a weapon, all to kill one person, but when she meets these Seraphite kids who should be her enemies, everything changes. She climbs skyscrapers despite being terrified of heights. She abandons her faction, making enemies of everyone she once trusted. She chooses protecting these kids over her own safety, over and over again. That's character transformation that actually costs something. She realizes revenge didn't fix her trauma, but maybe saving someone else could start healing it. For players willing to engage with that journey, it's incredibly powerful. Her supporters also love what she represents in gaming. Most female characters are designed to be appealing, non-threatening, someone you want to protect or romance. Abby takes up space, makes brutal decisions, and never apologizes for her strength. In a medium that often reduces women to support roles or eye candy, she's refreshingly uncompromising. The people who love Abby argue that the controversy proves she worked perfectly. Forgettable characters fade away quickly. She lived rent-free in our heads for 5 years running. I'm convinced Naughty Dog engineered this whole reaction. They created a character specifically designed to make us hate her guts, then spent the entire game trying to change our minds. It's emotional manipulation on an industrial scale. Every single choice in Abby's introduction maximizes our hatred. The golf club, Joel's helplessness, Ellie's screams, the casual way Abby walks away afterward. None of that is accidental. It's deliberately crafted to make us as angry as humanly possible. Then hours later, when we're forced to play as her, the game immediately shows us her nightmares, her trauma, her friends joking around and caring about each other. The developers are literally trying to reprogram our emotional response to this person. Most stories introduce sympathetic characters and reveal their flaws later. The Last of Us Part 2 flips that completely. It shows us a monster, then slowly peels back layers to reveal the human underneath. But this only works if you're willing to let it work. If you decide to hate Abby forever after that golf club scene, nothing the game shows you afterward will matter. The Abby situation exposes something uncomfortable about modern media consumption. We live in a world of instant reactions where everything gets labeled masterpiece or garbage within hours of release. Social media rewards hot takes over thoughtful analysis. In that environment, a character who requires patience and emotional labor was always going to struggle. Many of Abby's haters wanted something simpler: Joel and Ellie, the sequel. Another adventure with clear heroes and villains without all the moral complexity. They wanted comfort food, not a meal that required chewing. Her fans appreciate that the game refused easy answers. They see her as proof that video games can create characters as complex as those in prestige television or literary fiction. I think there's truth to both sides here. Abby might represent sophisticated storytelling that pushes gaming forward. She might also be a narrative disaster that alienated fans who just wanted more time with characters they already loved. Hell, she's probably both. Abby Anderson is a test case for whether audiences are ready for genuinely challenging protagonists in interactive media. In movies or books, you can't control the pacing, but in games, you're actively participating. You're controlling her movements, making her decisions, seeing through her eyes. That forced intimacy with a character you might despise? Games are the only medium that can pull that off. The Last of Us. Part 2 pushed that concept to its breaking point. Some players found it profound, others found it unbearable. How you respond to Abby reveals something about your relationship with empathy and moral complexity. If you're willing to sit with the discomfort of seeing Joel as someone else's villain, you might find value in her story. If you're not, and that's completely valid, she'll always be the person who destroyed something you loved. Neither reaction is wrong, but they reveal different approaches to challenging narratives. Abby Anderson has become more than a character. She's a cultural moment. She represents a time when a major franchise took a massive creative risk and split its audience down the middle. Whether that risk succeeded probably comes down to what you personally want from your games. Do you want stories that challenge you, make you uncomfortable, force you to question your assumptions? Then Abby might be exactly what gaming needed. Do you want escapist entertainment that doesn't demand emotional homework? Then she represents everything frustrating about modern storytelling. Most video game characters fade from memory within months. Abby inspired thousands of video essays, launched Twitter wars, and divided one of gaming's most passionate communities. Abby Anderson is pure creative ambition, the willingness to risk alienating your audience for the sake of artistic vision. In an industry often criticized for playing it safe, she's proof that developers are willing to take genuine risks. Whether that vision succeeded is still being debated, but forcing us to have this conversation about empathy, perspective, and moral complexity suggests she accomplished something significant, regardless of personal feelings. She changed what interactive storytelling can be. We're still talking about her 5 years later. In an attention economy where most things disappear overnight, that might be her greatest achievement.